Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has been giving us blessing and mercies, and salawat and salam are always given to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then I would like to extend my greeting to distinguish my advisors and examiners. Sir Amirullah SPD MED, PhD as the first advisor, Ma'am Dr. Geminas PT SPD MPD as the second advisor, Sir Munir SPD MED, TISO as the first examiner, and the last one is Ma'am Rian Raihana Sofian SPD MED as the second examiner. I am in Bulkis from English Education A 2019, and I'm going to present my research with the title Teachers' Perception on the Implementation of Higher Order Thinking Skills or HOTS in ELT process. I would like to explain about background in the chapter 1 introduction. There are 5 main points of this background. First point is English as an international language and a unifying language to facilitate the communication process. Though English is a foreign language in Indonesia, it makes students still have problems with learning. However, students will not get stuck in the difficulty of learning English. It is influenced by the communication technology they encounter always every day, where the average user is in English. Therefore, it can indirectly increase students' thinking skills in understanding English. The era becoming more and more modern is changing many aspects of life dramatically, especially in education. Accordingly, to meet society's challenges, the education system has also changed, especially in the curriculum. Now, Indonesia is implementing the 2013 curriculum. The second point is the 2013 curriculum is a school system that requires students to think critically. Hence, schools must provide teachers who can give the student thinking skill, namely HOTS. Higher order thinking skills or HOTS is an educational pattern that creates students' critical thinking. In other words, HOTS is described as the ability of students to think adaptive, where they connect learning with different aspects outside of learning. So, HOTS in education is very important to gain experience in solving a new problem. The HOTS has been officially introduced in education since the beginning of 21st century by Bloom. Students are expected to have high skills in the face of the Industrial Revolution. Therefore, the provision of HOTS in teaching today is an obligation for teachers, and HOTS has become a priority, especially in English subjects. HOTS requires students to be creative and find solutions to new problems. It's encouraged because of the low English proficiency of Indonesian students based on the survey conducted with comparisons of countries around the world, such as Pears and PISA. It becomes an obstacle for English teachers because it's challenging to express learning that requires good connective thinking. HOTS-based knowledge can create students' critical thinking so that they can solve a problem both inside and outside of learning English. Accordingly, students who are actively involved in learning can show the teacher's success in implementing HOTS. The English language teaching or ELT process with HOTS is not the same as giving material directly but thinking critically in solving an interrelated problem. In this way, effective, active, and fun English teaching is great. Therefore, the ideas that students get can encourage them to think at a higher level. Previous studies. There are several previous studies related to this research topic. First related study by Dima, Daflisar, and Ahmadi 2021 entitled The Implementation of Higher Order Thinking Skills or HOTS in English Language Teaching, the case of Indonesian senior high school EFL teachers. The results of this study explain that all participants had a good understanding of the HOTS concept based on Bloom's taxonomy. The second related study by Dawenan 2020 entitled The Implementation of Higher Order Thinking Skills or HOTS in English Language Teaching at Senior High School. Study results explain that the participants applied HOTS in teaching English and the last one related study by Ahmad 2018 entitled The Implementation of Teaching Loads and HOTS in English Teaching Learning Process in Senior High School. The result of this research is that the teacher has applied the skills of remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, and creating and teaching English. This study will be different from the three previous studies before because this study will focus on examining implementation of HOTS in the classroom during the ELT process and teacher perception of the implementation of HOTS in ELT process. And the study will use English teachers in junior high school as the participants. There are two problem statements of this research. First one is, how is the implementation of HOTS in the classroom during the ELT process? Next one is, what is the teacher's perception of implementing higher order thinking skills or HOTS in ELT process? Objective of the research. First one is to know the implementation of HOTS in the classroom during the ELT process. And the next one is to know the teacher's perception of implementing higher order thinking skills or HOTS in ELT process. Significance of the research. There are two significance of the research. First one is theoretically and next one is practically. Theoretically, for the teachers, the results of this research can provide information in obtaining new information about HOTS. And for the other researchers, this research can be used as a reference in implementing research related to the implementation of HOTS in the ELT process. And practically, for the teacher, the results of this research are expected that the teacher to evaluate HOTS in ELT process, and for the other researchers, this research can encourage them to continue to increase their knowledge and experience about the ELT process, so it could motivate them to make research more specifically related to this topic. Next chapter is literature review. First one, I would like to explain about perception. A definition of perception. According to Sugihartono, perception is the process of translating stimuli that enters the sense of human or ability sense. In translating impulse, perception can cause differences in human point of view in sensing that perceives something positive perception or negative perception. One is factor affecting perception. According to Restiani Prasipio, there are two factors on this perception. First one is internal factors, including experience, needs, rating, and expectation. Next one is external factors, including the nature of the stimulus, environmental situation, and external appearance. Aspects of perception. According to Walgito, there are three main aspects of perception: action, affection, and psychomotor. Next one is characteristic of perception. According to Sole, there are 5 general characteristics exist in the perceptual process, including modality, spatial dimension, time dimension, the structure of context, meaningful word, principle of perception. According to Slameto, there are four principles of perception. They are perception is relative rather than absolute, perception is selective, perception that has order, and the last one is perception is influenced by expectation and red light types of perception. According to Irwanto, there are two perception. Yeah, there are positive perception and negative perception. According to Q, the process of perception, they are first one is selection, next one is organization, and the last one is interpretation. First one is overview of HOTS. The beginning of HOTS is known by Benjamin S. Bloom et al. In their book Taxonomy of Educational Objectives. The classification of educational goals divided into several levels of thought from lowest to highest is called Bloom's taxonomy. Definition of HOTS. According to Widyawati, HOTS is one of the skills it must possess in the 21st century because problem solving is an identifier of 21st century work that requires HOTS, dimension of HOTS, memory, understanding, application, analysis, evaluation, and creation. Characteristic of HOTS, according to Hosnan, there are several characteristics of HOTS, including first, students are used as learning centers. Next one is students' creativity is developed, and the next one is create a joyful, meaningful, and alluring atmosphere. According to Burkhardt, that there are three types of HOTS. They are first one is HOTS as critical thinking. Next one is HOTS as problem solving, and the next one is HOTS as transfer. Classification of HOTS. According to Hosnan, in the 21st century, the 4C learning model is expected to be increased, consisting of the skills, first, creativity and innovation skill. The second one is critical thinking and problem-solving skill. Next one is communication skills. The last one is collaboration skill. Next one is English language teaching or ELT. The English function as a tool to carry out foreign policy, establish friendships with other countries, and accelerate the process of national development. The next one is the purpose of ELT. Referring to Curriculum 2013, the purpose of teaching English in high school is that students must be able to develop their communication skills in writing and orally to reach the level of functional literacy. And the last one is the scope of ELT. There are several scopes of English subjects. They are language skills, include listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Next, English as medium of communication to develop a positive attitude. And conceptual framework of this research. Based on the conceptual framework of the qualitative research of this research, it can be developed consisting of the research problem and the objectives to be studied where the junior high school English teacher is a sample of participants. The study examines English teachers' ELT process by using HOTS. The researcher will discuss the implementation of HOTS in the classroom during the ELT process and find out the perception of English teachers regarding the implementation of HOTS in the ELT process. It describes the research approach in the form of the text or image, so that readers can easily understand this research approach. Research design is all the processes needed to support research. The appropriate research design for this research is the qualitative descriptive research to achieve the research question. Data will be collected by triangulation, including data research obtained from different sources, namely observation, interview, and documentation. Source of data on this research. And in this study, the primary data are interviews and observation. Meanwhile, the secondary data comes from books and research journals related to this research. Research participants are subjects in an experiment or trials who agree to voluntarily participate in a study. The participants of the research are two English teachers at SMPN 18 Makassar. There are three research instruments of this study. To obtain data, the researcher needs several instruments to help so that the researcher works effectively and systematically. To examine the data in study, the researcher will use several devices, namely observation, interview, and documentation, data collection. To collect data, the researcher follows several steps to facilitate the data collection. The next is data analysis. There are three data analyses on this study. First one is data reduction. The data can provide a detailed description as preparation for the next step to provide clues to make it easier for the researcher to understand. Meanwhile, for the data reduction step in this study. Next one is data display. In this research, the researcher will use observational data as a field notes in the data display. And the last one is overview of conclusion of verification. This research uses methods of triangulation. In general, the steps in qualitative research are describing, interpreting, managing data, and reporting so that the researcher will evaluate, reduce data, analyze, and draw a conclusion. I think that's all from my explanation of my research, and I'm so sorry if I have mistake of my explanation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.